Hello everyone, my name is Bo, and I have heard from many people that they have passed the SAS-based and advanced programming certification test, but they still have no idea how to use SAS effectively at work. That's exactly how I felt when I started doing SAS programming around 10 years ago. So I would like to share with you guys some really useful SAS techniques that are frequently being used at work. So in practice, before you set out to do some kind of real data analysis, you would probably be interested in looking at the distribution and the miscellaneous of each variable in a dataset, or you may need to produce a summary table showing this info to your clients or colleagues, such like this one. So the first column is the variable name. The second one is the how many records is missing in this variable. The third column is the percentages. So now I'm going to show you how to generate such a table step by step. Okay, so let's move to the SAS window. So if you have a little bit exposure about the basic knowledge of SAS, so you would be really familiar with this procedure, proc frequency. This will give you the counts and the percentages of each variable at each level. So let's here I'm gonna use uh, the SAS help library, the SAS dataset called appliance to illustrate this whole procedure. So let's take a look at that, how it looks. Okay, so this procedure will give you the values each variable can achieve and the corresponding accounts and percent at each level. So if you scroll down, you could see the distribution and counts and frequency percentages of each variables. But this seems really uncomfortable. It's going to take a lot of time for it to scroll down to see all the variables. So if we could put all this info into one table, that's going to be much easier for you to looking at. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a really small trick to combine all this information just into one single table. Here, look at this block. The middle part, the part I highlighted here, is exactly the same as the previous block. So I just added two lines here. The first line is to prevent outcome going to the output window. And the second line is to output all the result to a dataset called misfrag. Let's run this block and see and take a look at how it goes. Okay, let's move to the dataset which was just generated. So this is a really big table. See? So basically it presented all the result in a diagonal form. So the first variable refers to the variable name. The difference is that prior to each variable name, you put a word here, table, and the second and third column corresponding to the second variable, the levels of the first variable, units 1. These two variables seems exactly the same. Yeah, the only difference between them is this variable is a character variable, and this variable is a numerical variable. So this one, frequency, refers to the counts, percent refers to the percentage, and these two columns refers to the second variable. Basically, they are basically the same as these two, units 1 and units appliance 1. So it's just SAS presented result in a diagonal form, you will see that it presents the result in this block. And similarly for the variable units 3 is presented here. So it's exactly in the diagonal form. So basically this table gives us all the frequencies and percentages in one single table, but it doesn't really seem really comfortable. The ideal case that we can combine the information of each variable into in one single block. That would seems really comfortable for us. Okay, so the next step, we're going to adjust the format of this whole data set to make it comfortable, to make it just one block. Okay, so this is a data step. First of all, we read in the previous data set, and we create a new variable here called v underscore name. So which is populated. Use the second part of this variable table. We use the scan function to get the second part of this variable. For example, for this cell, it gets the value of units underscore 1. Similarly, for the later on, this one, it gets the value of units underscore 2. So the basic syntax of the scan function is in this way. So it gets this the variable name. This is the second part. This is the delimiter. Okay. Then the next variable we generated here is called v value, variable value. We're going to combine the information in the character variables, like this one. We combine this variable units 1 and units 2 and units 3, units 4, because it's diagonal form. For this panel, the later variables, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, they are all blank. So we use catx function. We combine all these variables from f underscore units 1 until the last variables, f underscore cycle. These variables are all the numerical variable, the character variables in the dataset. Please note that we use this a space here as a delimiter. So it's like you concatenate all these variables with these delimiters, and then you use the left function to remove the spaces on the left side, and use the trim function to remove all the spaces on the right side. Then we create a new variable called count, which is populated with the value of frequency. And here, after you concatenate all these variables, because we are only interested in the percentages and the frequencies of the missing values. So we use this statement to keep only the observations with the v value populated with empty. So let's run through this block and see how it goes. Okay. Now you would be able to see this is the exactly the format, exactly the summary table we would like to see. So okay, so and the next step, you would be able to see in this data set, like the order of the variables are not exactly what we would like to see. Maybe we just want to put the variable's name in the first column, the count is the second column, and percent to the third column. Okay, so here we are going to add a data step here. We use the retain statement and just put all the variables in the order that we would like to see in the final data set. And please note that we have to put the retain statement in front of the set statement in order to fulfill this function. Okay, and let's look at it again. Okay, so now we have the data set exactly in the format we would like to see. So now this whole process can give the summary table we want to have, but the problem is sometimes when we have a large data set, let's say we have a data set with over 100 variables. So if we do it in this way, which means we need to type every variable in here manually one by one, which is gonna take us a lot of time. So next time I'm gonna show you a little trick to overcome these shortcomings. Okay, so we're going to use the proc contains first. This procedure will give us the general information about dataset, such as the variable name and the label and the type of the variable and stuff like that. Let's look at. Okay, here the result has been saved in the dataset called war list. So if you look at that, it gives a library name, and this is dataset name, the dataset label, this variable name and variable type, a length and variable number, and stuff like that. If you look at the variable number, you will notice that basically the observations in this dataset is sorted not by the variable number. See, the variable 25 goes to the top. Okay, so basically SAS ordered all the variables based on the variable name rather than the variable number. So if you would like to see the result in the order that which appears in the original dataset, you have to reorder this dataset first by the variable number. Okay, so the next step, we're going to sort this dataset by the variable number. Okay, now let's look at it again. So now all the records is sorted by the number which are that the variables appears in the original dataset. Now we're going to use a ProgSQL step to generate a character which is appearing in this block. Okay, so we're going to use ProgSQL to select f underscore, because in this dataset, for listed dataset, the variable name doesn't include f underscore in front of each variable name, so we have to insert manually. Do it here. We select f underscore here and concatenate the variable name and into a macro variable. Please note that we have to separate it by a comma, because if you look at it here, this long character is separated by a comma. So in order to generate such a long character string, we have to separate it by a comma here. Then I'm using a put statement here to see if it goes properly. Okay, let's see how it looks. Okay, so this output, the macro variables here, it seems what we would like to see. Okay, after this macro variable has been generated, we could copy this exactly the same syntax in this block here, in this block, copy it here, copy and paste it here, and just replace the long character strings with the macro variable that we just created. Now let's look at that if it's gonna give us exactly the same result. Okay, it gives us the exactly the same result. Just add more. Okay, well, we need to remove this variable here because we don't want to have the value, the missing values here. Let's try it again. Okay, this is exactly what we would like to see. Yeah, so yeah, so this gives us the whole process for generating such a table. So if this is a routine work you have to do like every day, every week, or every month, you could basically write a macro to fulfill this function. Then no matter when you're going to use this, you only need to run this macro once. Then you get what you want. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching.